It is the 20th of March, 2024. This is Marnie Watson. I'm here in my office with Cheyenne. And what's your last name that you use?
Bacon. It's our,
okay. We have both there. With Cheyenne Bacon and
Joseph Bacon.
And
Clive Bacon.
And Clive Bacon, who may or may not contribute. And Anna Withers here today. So if I could just ask a couple questions real quick. Cheyenne, your age?
31.
31. Your race?
Native American, White Mountain Apache.
White Mountain Apache. And your gender?
Female.
Okay. So if you could just start us off by telling us, how did you become a gardener, farmer, whatever it is that you consider yourself to be?
Well, I guess it kind of loops around to, meeting Joseph. We went to Kansas City Art Institute together. When I met his family, we went back to his father's. I don't know if you'd call it a farm, Joe, or he shod horses, or that's what, he's a farrier. Okay. So it was my first introduction to seeing anything outside of the inner city. So I was like, wow, this is interesting. And Joe has always had like a big agriculture background. So I didn't really know much about it until we moved to Brooklyn, pandemic, and we got really, really into like urban mushroom growing.
Okay.
And we did like small incubation in our like itty bitty, our apartment was honestly maybe even this big.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn. We were just doing as many different varieties of mushrooms that we could figure out how to inoculate in our tiny apartment without like contaminating the spores.
Right.
So we did that. And then as we started talking more, we were like, we would have so much more land, and there would be so much more opportunity to do what we really want to do in Missouri, where we're from. And we had the thought that we were going to move to his dad's property, but we ended up finding kind of something that was a little bit flatter and where we could build a greenhouse and we could do all the things that we really want to do.
Where are you located now?
We're in Willard.
Oh, you're in Willard. Okay, I'm in Bodark.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So you're right around
yeah.
the
So it kind of just started out as like a really intense hobby. He was more like in tune with like, of course he had more experience, and then I kind of like started getting really into it too.
Yeah.
And then we just made that decision, like, let's move, let's do this. Like, it was a little scary because we'd lived in New York for 7 years, and
okay.
We were both doing our like careers and stuff, and then we were like, let's leave, let's do this. Let's do this. Like, yeah, so it was definitely fast.
What were you what careers were you doing in New York?
You can
Videography.
Videography?
yeah,
Cool.
he worked for the Kitchen. It's like it's one of the oldest art gallery in Chelsea, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I was a holistic esthetician, so I did like lymphatic drainage, shiatsu massage.
Wow.
I did Reiki. I still obviously do that and practice that, but I'm like more kind of geared to like wanting to farm and work with the earth. I feel like it's definitely more in tune with, even my culture. Like, I think you forget and you get so detached from things sometimes, like especially living in the city, that you just kind of forget, like, oh wow, there are trees, like there's not just buildings, or you walk into a plant store and you're like enamored, but there's actually, you can actually go out into nature and be with that. So that, even just doing agriculture kind of has brought me closer to what I like. I feel more in tune with like what I'm supposed to be doing, like culturally even.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So it's nice.
The next question is, have you gardened or farmed anywhere besides here? And I guess you did in mushrooms?
I guess we did like on like a small scale Brooklyn. I had like a bunch of herbs in my like all along our windowsill. Like, it was insane. Like, we had our like
even the fire escape.
Yeah, we had which they were like, get those off the fire escape, that's a fire hazard. And I'm like, I'm sorry, and we'd put them back out, and like, but we had like rigged it, and we had like grow lights all over, and it was kind of wild. Like, our apartment, like, you walk in and you're like, what is going on? But I guess I did more in Brooklyn, it was more like herbs, and that's kind of how I'm in a program which I'm actually finishing, like I'm really close to getting done. It's chestnut herb, like School of Herbalism.
I did chestnut herbalism.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
I
cool.
did the medicine making and the foraging
Yeah.
classes.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. It's really awesome.
It's
It's
great.
really great.
Yeah.
I wonder. I did medicine making in 2019.
I did in 2020 during the pandemic.
Okay.
I was like, I'm home.
Yeah.
We
So
had a couple acres, so
yeah. No. Yeah. So that was really interesting because that's how we learned how to do tinctures and just all of our
Salves
little
and
things with mushrooms. So we were like really excited about that.
So great.
But on a larger scale, yes, we've only done farming in Willard, and we've sold to the farmers markets, and we have someone that actually like has contacted us and stayed our client from the farmers market. She gets like different mushrooms, like whenever we have like different varieties that pop up, we kind of send them her way, and it's really cool. Yeah.
You grow some interesting varieties, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, he's really good at cordyceps, which we are trying to push people to try, but it's so hard. We brought even like one of the little, we're like, check it out, and people are like, what, you eat that? Like, well, I mean, it's medicinal, and they're like, okay, next, and you're like, okay. But yeah, we have oyster mushrooms. We have different varieties, like we do pink, blue, we do shiitake, which my favorite is chestnut mushroom. We do that. Gosh, there's a lot. I'm trying to think of all. Like we had like a huge lion's mane, which is most popular.
Yeah.
I really push chestnut to people.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, come on, it's my favorite one. You know, like you got to try it. Like, I think shiitake overall does pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Reishi. Yeah. But that's again
you
more
grow
of a
reishi?
Yeah, we did in our Brooklyn apartment even like.
Whoa.
That was one of the first ones we
That
tried.
was.
Because they're all over Brooklyn.
Yes.
Like just on the trees.
Huge.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
I thought those were really hard to grow, and people considered them like sacred health fountains of good health. And stuff.
Wow. We didn't have any trouble. Even in our Brooklyn
Right.
apartment.
Yeah.
I think that actually was the first one that we grew.
Yeah.
That's
Very
amazing.
successful.
And then what was the second? Oyster.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing like capsules or different teas or anything?
Yeah,
like that?
we did that. Well, he got really into the capsules,
Yeah.
which I think is smart because a lot of people don't like tinctures due to like alcohol, which is understandable. So the pill form was really quite. I think it was pretty smart, but again, at the markets, it didn't
It's
go
just
over.
it's been a
People are
hard
looking
sell.
for.
You haven't
Yeah.
found the exact right market for them.
Uh-uh.
'Cause I'm over here spending a lot of money on what's Paul Stamets
Turkey tail.
Mycosymbiotic.
Yeah.
Or no,
oh my gosh.
Mycobotanicals. The
Yeah,
company.
yeah, he's got a
Which
company.
are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's like
I just got his
the turkey tail blend,
yeah,
right?
for my mom actually. Yeah.
Mhm.
Are you growing outside or are you growing in an indoor area?
So the mushrooms are all contained. We have like 5 grow tents for different varieties downstairs because we have to be very meticulous. And while I was pregnant, I couldn't really do it a lot because you have to clean the crud out of it, and it takes bleach. Like if you want to make sure that the area is like sterile and you're not getting cross contamination and all that, you gotta spray it down and clean it really well. So I couldn't really be in there doing that, so we kind of cut down our production. But we have a lot of stuff we grow outside too, and we're like really going crazy this year now that I'm able to kind of
That's awesome.
like help more.
What are you growing outside?
So we just started our tomatoes. We're doing a lot of cherry. I think we're doing beefsteak. We're kind of staying more simple with the tomatoes this year because we did heirloom, and it didn't really like people at the market weren't like super excited about heirloom. It seemed like
more interested in just like
beefsteak and Roma and cherry.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we're gonna do that. We'll try that. I mean, we'll probably grow those varieties for ourselves. Like. We're doing eggplant again. I think we're just sticking to regular this year. We did like Chinese eggplant last year and Japanese eggplant last year. And then again, a lot of people had never tried eggplant, so we had to kind of figure out, like, that's another thing we're working on. We need to, like, figure out how to do dishes, like, explain, like, dishes and how you can incorporate the vegetables into your dish that you have probably had before but aren't thinking about it. Always doing our legumes, you know. We're doing melons. Let's see. I'm trying to think of all the list of things. Bunch of herbs, because that's, you know, I love my herbs, you know. Yeah.
We'll have to trade some herbs back
Yeah, we have a bunch of herbs, don't we? And we're really focusing on fruit. Joseph is, which in our New York apartment, we started growing how many variety of dragon fruit?
Oh, I think like 4.
Oh my gosh.
They're huge now.
Yeah.
But we also have new cuttings, which we're really excited.
Yeah.
And we're gonna start. How many of those are we doing? Like
12.
12.
Okay,
because we all have, right now we have them kind of in our kitchen with like a bunch of grow lights, but so we're kind of focusing on fruit because we just finished, almost finished our geothermal greenhouse, which has like the subtropic like temperatures, so we'll be able to grow like different tropical fruits, and which
That's
is
awesome.
We are like so stoked about it. He's hooking up the fan this week, right? Just to kind of get it all sorted, which is like, I mean, it's been a while, you know. I got pregnant, which again, like a lot of the work we do is just the two of us. So when I was pregnant, I was like, I can't like really like do like,
Can't lift
you know,
this
like,
much
like
or-
kind of going crazy. Now that I'm like not pregnant, I'm like lifting things and like being like, yeah. But
I'm back.
and it feels good. But yeah, so we're focusing on a lot of fruits, and we got like papaya, and we do have fig. We got a lot of fig.
Those will be outside.
Yeah, of course. We also have our caterpillar tunnels, which we have one that we established almost 4 years ago, and then we have a new one that we're putting up this year, side by side.
And we did that berry growing class.
Right, which is
made us. Yeah,
we want to do berries really bad now
What
too.
berries have you been doing?
Gosh, well, not much yet, but we're gonna. I think what are we thinking? Like
after that class, like the gooseberry.
Oh, yeah.
And the hardy kiwi. That was
Yeah.
really
Seal.
interesting. And
hardy kiwi for sure.
blackberry and elderberry. And
We
all
will do
those.
blueberry.
Yeah.
Was that the MU extension
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Okay,
It was
good.
amazing.
Good.
That sounds like I wish
Really.
I'd done that. That sounds so exciting.
It was really cool. And then tonight, Patrick's doing the tree grafting, which it's going to be a little later, and Clive is a little wild, so I'm like, leaving him with someone might be like too much, so I'm like, Joe, you do it, bring it back, and
Yeah.
Right.
I'll hang out with a little guy all night, and like just kind of, but we're excited about it. We've been anticipating the tree grafting.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm like trying to think, like we have so much like that
There's
we're
so
like
many things
trying to
going
do
on.
right now.
And how are you? So you've got training through the MU extension classes. Have you had other training that you've done?
We kind of just like
Or you just kind of jumped in?
jumped in like
Okay,
head
yeah.
first. Like Joe is always more like research based, so he was doing kind of, you know, putting together the charts and, you know, researching different things that we want to focus on. And, you know, of course we started with mushroom, but now we're kind of getting more into like everything else. And fruit is like something we're like really gung-ho about, especially for Missouri, because I do think that there are some farms in Missouri that are doing fruit, but not a lot. Like
There's a lot of opportunity for berries.
I
What I
know.
understand is that
People
like,
love their berries.
it sells
I
out.
love my berries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And berries are good, you know.
Right.
Yeah, so
Mystical life.
I think that is a huge opportunity. Strawberries too. Like his uncle, he grows a pretty large amount of strawberries, right?
Yeah, and grapes.
And grapes.
A bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and
just-
apples.
Yeah.
Joe, his family they have more of like an agriculture
Right.
background, so
So Joe, do you have more of a background and more training, or?
More with horses.
Okay.
But my mom was an avid gardener. She had
super green thumb.
Yeah, she just would grow
more
anything.
than anybody I've ever met, honestly. Like, she's just like so, like, she can look at it and be like, okay, this is what this is, and kind of like explain it to you, and you're like, okay, girl, like, you know, like, very like, she's very.
And it was just through just experience.
Trial and error, I think. Yeah.
That's how my mother is. I asked her one day, like, what's your secret for like having these amazing gardens? And she's like, oh, well, if it dies, then I think it doesn't want to grow there. Yeah. And then I put something else there instead.
Yeah.
I just grow
Some
the
people
things
just
that want to
get
grow here.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
See, I get super attached to my plants and herbs, and like I've had some plants for years, like since I brought them back from Brooklyn, and I was so like, when we were packing them in the car, I was like, do not, like, you don't understand, this is my favorite habanero plant. And like, Joe's like, dude, you can get a new one, like, it's no big deal. And I'm like, I have had this for 4 years, okay? So I'm like very like intense.
They probably appreciate your protection, and they like you being their plant mama.
Yeah, I'm like very like, I kiss them and love them, you know, because it's just like, I don't know, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
And I've heard that they have like some sentient, like, they have something that we might not understand quite yet, but there is some, you know, there's connection, there's communication. I mean, pollinating, like, you know, like.
And we find out that they talk now, right? Over the last year or so. I think that's definitely where we're going to learn a lot of things about animals and about plants in the next couple decades, I think.
Yeah, and I do think there is, like, I don't know if you guys have heard, like, plant music and stuff like that, but I love playing, like, plant music. And I have noticed, maybe it's stupid, but I sometimes notice that, like, if you play something a little bit more intense, it might, like, the plant, like, I'm like, oh, it's kind of droopy. Like, you know, I water it, and I play my music, and I, like, let it in the sun, and I'm like, and then it's beautiful.
You just start a Spotify playlist of just, like, your plant nursery.
I mean, you know, it is a thing.
I would totally subscribe to that channel
it's a thing. So, yeah, we kind of just ran barefoot, and I think me more so, because I grew up just in Kansas City, just definitely, like, inner Kansas City, like Westport, downtown.
Gotcha.
So I didn't really have, I mean, Kansas City still has a lot of, like, nature, but I also didn't have a lot of, I was like, what is this? Like, what? Like, Southern Missouri, when I came, I was like, whoa, like, I was kind of blown away, and I love it. And my mom is, like, obsessed with it, which I'm always like, Mom, you should just move here. Like, this is more like you than Kansas City, but you know, it's kind of hard. Once you're in the city, you're kind of rooted in the city sometimes. But
so your mom wasn't a gardener. You didn't have that sort of directly in your.
She did have a garden, and it was mostly just like tomatoes and zucchini and cucumbers and
like a kitchen garden.
Yeah, you know, which we would use. Like, she always kind of jokes, like, when you were little, you'd go out to the garden and you'd just eat tomatoes. Like, I would just, like, you know, eat it like like an apple. So that was a good thing about me, I guess. I liked veggies and the good stuff. But yeah, Mom, she definitely has an appreciation. And with being Native American, we're starting to kind of, you know, go back, like, reclaim. And I think that's super important. And that also comes back to, like, the land and understanding, like, what people were on your land. Osage was, you know, primarily our, you know, like, where we are. So my mom, it was really important to my mom that we get Osage out to our land to bless our property and just do a lot of that. And she's even been like, oh, you guys should have powwows on your property. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's big, but we do have neighbors, and I don't know how they would feel about, like, you know, all that. But
did you know that we partner with the American Indian Center at Springfield, and they're actually really active, and we have a community garden.
I want to
AIC and stuff.
My mom said I need to. She's like, you should. We got to get, because we did in Kansas. We were a part of it in Kansas City. I danced in powwows as a kid and stuff.
Wow.
So
they have they've got a lot of events, and they've really, like, taken off.
I want Clive to dance. Like, I've even. I mean, it's important just for, like, when they're little. Like, he can say no when he's old. Like, I did. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, Mom. And she was like, oh, and I'm like, nah, I'm done. Yeah. I want to act. So, so when he gets over it, I guess. But I really do want him. I think it's important to, you know, kind of
to have
do all that. Yeah.
to culture.
Yeah.
He's smiling.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Good.
Little guy. But
so, are there any like Native American crops that you've been working on?
So we definitely, I mean, corn is always one that you got to have the three sisters, you know, like, you know, you got your corn, squash, and beans. So that is something that I kind of want to like, okay, like that's a good crop. Yeah. I think there are actually like most vegetables that you can grow, you know, have a Native American, like edible flowers are really important. There's a lot of like medicinal flowers, and then, you know, like you have your like just even like weeds, standard weeds that you would think, you know, whatever, like dandelions and like yarrow and
3 beds of yarrow.
Yeah, those are all things that you can incorporate into Native American dishes that people wouldn't think of, like, oh, I don't want to eat this is a weed, but like, no, like it's really important, it's really good, and it gives you a lot of different like vitamins and nutrients, and it's like right there in your backyard. I mean, sure, urban, like you kind of have to be a little bit careful if you're like picking dandelions in like cracks of like urban Kansas City, but if it's in your backyard and you know where it's sourced, I mean, why not just go ahead and put it in your salad? Like, it's a pretty good, like, nettles and, you know, things like that. You know, those nettles are always, like, that's our, like, little cup of tea. We love our nettles and, you know, all that. So, yeah, just, I think anything can be, I think anything can be a Native American, especially if it's grown by the land and you can source it, like, foraging and
if it was here and it was growing,
it's
it was
typically
used.
eaten. Same with like meats and stuff, like if you can, you know, get it, if it's here, do it, you know.
Squirrels,
sure, you know, turtles. I know that's something I'm like always like I don't really like want to eat it, but I've definitely seen, my grandpa was really big into snake, which I was not very into that. He also, whenever he would make us, like, different, like, soups, I remember, like, being like, what's in this? And he'd be like, oh, just eat it, And I'd be like, okay. And I'd find out that it was, like, the whole, like, very big into eating the whole animal source versus, like, scraps. Like, I know that my grandpa was, like, very adamant on, like, all parts of the animal. So my mom had a lot of exposure to, like, eating, like, everything. Like, it was all very...
brain, intestine,
everything, tongue. I had a lot of tongue growing up. And being, you know, Arizona, which is where the reservation is, the White Mountain Apache reservations in Arizona, it's actually like on the same provenance as Navajo. So a lot of that kind of intertwines. So like you got your like Navajo tacos, which is something that I'm always like craving from my mom, like, and I still can't get the fry bread right. Like every time I cook it, I'm like, this is not it. Like this is not it. And my mom's like, oh, come on, like you gotta learn. I'm like, I do. Like I have a child, I should learn how to cook your food. Because I love Navajo tacos.
What oil are you cooking in?
My mom likes sunflower oil.
I think that might be your... You gotta go with some lard.
I know. Real. Yeah, lard too, for sure. She was kind of, which I think she's stopped since. My, like, Mom, you should probably, you know, like, my grandma used to save, like, the coffee cans. And she would put the lard and cook in it. And my mom was, like, big proponent of that. But I kind of started looking at it, and I'm like, it seems like it, like, where are we storing this? Like, let's kind of, like, let's get a little bit more sanitation-wise, like, up in here, you know what I mean? Like, love her, but she's starting to get more like, okay, you're right. Like, maybe not doing what Grandma did, like, storing it underneath, like, things and, you know, like.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm kind of moving her in the different route.
But wait, I don't know what Navajo tacos are.
Oh. Okay, so Navajo tacos oh my gosh. Okay, so first of all, if they're ever doing something at the Springfield, because I have seen that they do Navajo tacos, and every single time I'm like, let's go. I was pregnant and I was like really sick and I couldn't go to it. But Navajo tacos, it's a fry bread base and it's super fluffy and like, just
so good.
Delectable. You have your beans, which typically are like kidney. They do like a lot of kidney, maybe even pinto sometimes. You can get away with that. Meat, they do beef. My mom did bison a lot too. So like,
too.
yeah. Oh yeah, true.
I lived in New Mexico for a while.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. You got your lettuce and tomatoes, and they put cheese. But my mom.
But the fried bread is
and it's
integral.
huge. Like.
Okay.
Yeah.
A meal.
Okay.
It's a meal. Like.
Very filling.
It's a meal.
Wasn't there a Navajo taco place in Willard?
Yeah, there was. But I had asked her. I said, so. Like, what is your...
Of all places.
I said, what is the background? Like, I'm Apache, but we live it's very close quarters, so I'm very familiar. And I asked her, and she's like, oh, well, we actually travel. Like, my mother traveled to Arizona, and we're bringing it back. And I'm like, well, it's pretty good. I mean, you're doing... It's good, So they were kind of doing, like, just trying to show, like, what...
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate... I don't know, some people get kind of like... But I'm like, I appreciate it. Like, I think if you can appreciate a culture and do it in a way that's not, I don't know, I guess, like, thievy or just, like, not...
Rebranding it as something not...
Yeah, I think
appreciation instead of appropriation.
Yeah, right. I think you can appreciate a culture and, I think that's okay. I think we're all kind of appreciating. And I don't know, another thing that I've found, like, even just being in the Ozarks... Which in New York, it was totally different. Like, you have Dominicans, you have Brazilians, you have Puerto Ricans, not many Native Americans. But I would go to the Bronx, and as you get closer to, like, the Bronx, and then when they're coming down from Canada and stuff, like, we have, like, our powwows there. That's when you get to meet a lot of different tribes and Native Americans. But here, I meet so many different people that are Native American. And even Joe was on the phone. We were, like, trying to get something, a well. And the guy that Joe talked to just randomly says he's Native American. And Joe's like, oh, no, my wife is. And he goes, no, I'm really Native American, though. And then Joe's like, my wife is, too. Her mom, her grandparents lived on the reservation, and they moved. And, he was, like, trying to, and he was like, oh, wow, okay. But it is true. Like, you meet a lot of people that are, like, have some sort of, like,
real connection,
and you wouldn't even know, like, sometimes, like, you're like, oh,
several students in our department.
Yeah, it's, like, really interesting, and I don't know, I like it. Like, it feels, because even being in Kansas City, sometimes it was hard knowing what am I? Like, I don't understand. Like, I always ask my mom, I'd be like, well, am I Mexican? Are we Hispanic? Are we, like... She's like, no. She's like, we know Spanish, but she's like, no. She's like, she tried to explain it to me as best, because when I was explaining it to kids, they'd be like, whatever. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm trying to figure this out. So reclaiming it has been a really important part of, like, my being an adult and kind of learning, like, oh.
And it sounds like the farming and connection to food
Definitely.
and the land is a part of
yeah,
that for
it's
you.
so wonderful. And then even having a child is, like, more like, oh, wow, like... I don't know, like, being able to kind of teach him and, him grow up with his grandma and, like, learn her, and then about his great-grandparents and, your mom and your dad. Joe's mom and dad are, like, such an important, like, Joe's dad's love for horses and, like, not having any background in it, but just all of a sudden being, like, in high school being, like, oh, that's what I want to do. And he dedicated his whole entire life to it.
Amazing.
So I think that's, like, also, like we have two very diverse, interesting families that I think it'll be nice to have our baby, grow up with with that. Yeah.
What did your families think when you're like, we're giving up our careers in New York, we're coming to Missouri, and we're going to be farmers?
My mom was a little pressed. Like, I'm not going to lie. My mom was a little like, you have done so well. Are you sure? And I'm like, well, like, yes. Like, New York is great. It's wonderful. And, I mean, you can find anything you want to find there. But I don't know, like, you can also find anything you want to find here if you, like, really dig and you search and I seek, like, we're big seekers, so my mom was a little hard, it was hard for her, but Joe's family, they were pretty open. Your family was really, Joe's mom was just, she's like, get on back, we're driving, we're gonna...
That's what my dad kind of told me to do, kind of.
Yeah.
Like,
you're gonna build your garden.
Yeah.
That was my promise to his dad. I said, yes, we're going to make a garden, amazing. We're going to do, and his dad's like, okay, great, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so, yeah.
How have you been able to finance all of this?
It's been a mission. It's been a mission. Yeah.
Just gradual and just one thing at a time, kind of.
And then even working. Well, now we're working with NRCS, and Adam is like awesome.
I was gonna Adam. That's not my question. Like, are you working with Adam? Everybody's working with Adam. We're working with Adam.
Well, we have a meeting with Emily today, right?
Yeah.
So, because we got some cool news. Like, when was it? February, sometime late February. But they're gonna help do like hedgerows, and we have like a pollinator patch that we're putting in, which we tarped.
Did you win the equip?
We did, right? They.
Oh my gosh!
It's like pre-approval.
Yeah.
And then we're meeting today
for
that's
the
just
approval.
all the formalities.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we're really
Yeah.
excited.
Are you getting the high tunnel?
I don't know yet.
That's
Okay, so maybe today you can ask your questions.
more of
but
Because I would love
the
that.
windbreak
That's
and-
amazing.
Yeah, we got the windbreaks. We got the pollinating patch, which.
Tell me about the hedgerow. I want to know about this because
Oh,
we're also
man.
with Adam and the whole equip thing. And
Yeah.
I wanna know
So
what we should be asking
that's
you to
been a
put in.
big.
Because we're like right out in the open with
Yeah.
wind, so we get a lot of wind damage.
Yeah.
And, it's like kind of like a 2-year plan. We're doing half of it 1 year and the next half.
So we don't overexert because
Yeah.
we had said we're just gonna knock it out, and then I'm like, well,
Let's be
we
realistic.
do
That's a lot of,
have a child,
a
so
lot of trees.
I'm like that is a little bit harder, maybe with him, which we've found.
Yeah.
Even picking weeds, I'm like, okay, his head. I need to like hold on, like,
Does he support
yeah,
it
like
properly?
this.
We're gonna shake him up. He's gonna go upside
I
down.
know. I kind of have to
Breakfast.
wait. I think until he gets a little bit more like, head strength.
Headstrong.
Yeah, which should be next month, I think they said.
That
But
neck muscles all.
yeah, so we're working with Adam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gosh, what else? Adam has been honestly, that's been a huge.
He
He's
is just a beautiful human being.
He's
He
sweet.
is so helpful. He's so pure and
He's from
and
New
just so
York,
helpful.
right?
Yeah.
Upstate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we told him that, he was like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Okay, now we get you." Yeah. 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 So that's. Yeah, we still need to kind of go over the trees and stuff that we're kind of.
narrow down. It's gonna be a lot of plum trees.
Yeah. A lot of native.
Native plums.
Hopefully some pawpaws mixed in
Oh,
there
true.
and stuff.
Yeah, and the Ozark Soul, I saw a lot of like their pawpaw, and we're like pre-registering for like all the
Yeah.
stuff.
Missouri conservation is amazing.
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
we just planted 25 elderberries.
Oh,
wow.
shoot.
Yeah,
we got
we have
pawpaws for them also, and wild plums.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, we have
Pawpaws are really slow.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That a little tricky.
Yeah, I
sometimes,
think my aunt planted a pawpaw, and she's still kind of like looking at it and like waiting for it to, do its thing. But yeah.
That's
So
exciting, though.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
really excited.
Yeah.
I would like to figure out if the high tunnel is like a possibility.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, well, hopefully today you can get those answers because
Yeah.
that's a big thing to plan around or not plan around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you and Patrick, they came out and they kind of like gave us like answers to like some of the questions that we had as to like where to plant or what will work. Like Patrick was actually the one that was like berries, like berries, like
it really changed our trajectory.
yeah. At
that
first we were
meeting,
kind of
I
like,
think.
wait, what? And then we kind of like started looking more into it, and we're like, oh, yeah, like yeah, it makes sense. I mean, of course.
And tree fruits and stuff, just fruit in general, kind of interesting.
Because we were doing,
cropping
we
up
have
and all
cherries. We were growing cherries as well and apples. And that's kind of where our focus was first. And then he kind of started explaining more about, berries and how well they grow even in our, area. And it was like, oh, okay, like it made a lot more sense. Like, but they also helped us with the establishing of the land and for the high tunnel. Like, okay, you've had a spot here that you've been working on for 3 years. This is where you should put it. And I'm like, oh, perfect. So we already we have our little area kind of like that's the spot that we know that we want to lay the high tunnel over. Yeah, it's been almost 4 years now, right, Joe? In when? June? Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe 4 years. Yeah.
It's good that you guys are also just being so adaptable and you're listening to the market and everything as much as like you want to shake people and be like, eat this, like try this.
Yeah.
But I mean, so much of food is also a fad.
Yeah, it's
true. And people weren't eating collard. I mean, of course, some people were, but there's been a resurgence in like collard greens.
It's true. Yeah, we've been talking about
things.
I think we're doing that. We're doing kale, collard greens. We are doing arugula, which is just like one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how. That's another one that I think we had trouble selling, right, last year?
It was more like processing. Like we didn't have the right setup for a wash.
That's another thing. Yeah,
so like greens and stuff are a bit more challenging.
Yeah.
But, hopefully this year we have a new well being installed soon. So
got the well. Yeah, that's what we were working.
Yeah.
With Anna and like trying to figure out loans and what we could do because grants are actually it's really difficult to get a grant for a well when you don't have livestock, which we don't. Yeah. We have a Chihuahua, but I don't think he warrants his. I don't think he could be livestock.
How many acres do you have where you are?
We have 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good size.
It's a really nice little, beautiful piece of land, and it goes back really far. So
that's lovely.
Yeah, and I mean we did think. I was in my 3rd trimester, and we were like toying with the idea of doing like a pasture with sheep.
Yeah.
Like right when Clive was born. So I'm like, then it'd be like a year and then we can get the grant for the well because we've had animals for a year. Like, but then I'm like, okay, this could be too much work with a newborn and, but we do want to we'll toy with that idea a little bit, like more sheep or something. Because we went to Kansas City Art Institute. I was in fiber and textiles. So I did a lot of that.
Degree.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's one of my projects there from my.
Oh my gosh, nice.
Yes.
What kind of do you like? Weaving,
spinning. Yeah,
I
me
too.
For a while, but
they
all got killed by dogs.
I know. Yeah, that happens. I think.
Horrible.
But no, that's awesome. I didn't know that's. Yeah, so
Like
love a fiber major. That was my like. Yeah. I love textiles, and I did a lot of like. I did learn a few like Navajo weaving, just a little things with that. I have like a loom, and I made a loom in the our New York apartment, which was like pretty big, where I would just kind of go like a wall loom.
Yeah, I love your whole like living quarters are plants. And
dude, it was
and mushroom.
And you paint Joe oil paint, so it was like we were just like, it's kind of crazy. Like we do a lot of things, but. I do think, and we've talked about this a lot, like having a garden and agriculture and just it is art. It is an art project.
It fulfills all of it.
All of it. Like, because you can kind of like look and, companion plants. It's like a painting. It really, like, I feel like it's like a weaving, and I'm sure we still do all those things. Like, we still are very active with our degrees and, all the things that we did. But, like, it's like an art. It's really wonderful. Like just being able to like weave it all together. And
do you imagine incorporating some of your body work and stuff into the future plans?
I did it's interesting because I also did performance art, which is how I got into aesthetics.
Okay.
And I did a piece on femininity and just like what it means to be like a woman. And from that, I went to aesthetic school as like a performance. Okay.
I was wondering where that came
As a performance piece, I went to aesthetic school and I ended up falling in love with it. Like I never had done skincare. I never did makeup. I didn't care about it. Like I didn't understand it. So I was like, let me learn. Let me go. Like I'm gonna go to school. And Joe was like, okay. He's like, so you're going to a year program. I'm like, yeah. I'm going to do it. Don't worry. I fell in love with it. And I ended up like, not only like, I still worked with my art and did like, my work with that. But from that, I got a career. Like, I learned, I'm not more into like the cosmetics and stuff. I was more holistic. So, you're doing like the deeper, like lymphatic and working with my hands and being kind of like that healer that my mom was like, oh, your grandma had similar. Yeah. She always loved, hands were really important to her and working with the body, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, you know. So that was something that from a performance piece, I want to work eventually, maybe more on Reiki, like with plants and that type of thing. Not really, maybe not so much on people. I love people, and I think it was a wonderful thing
so to do Reiki on plants.
I want to do that, more, because that's what we do with our house plants and stuff.
Tell me.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you can I think you could do it on animals. I have friends that work closely with like animals, and my dear friend Erica, who relocated to New Orleans, she does it primarily on like animals and like horses and cows, livestock and stuff like that, because she's like, I just, they have so much energy that you need to like shift and move around, and I think you can even feel that. I can feel it in plants, and anything that you work with has an energy source, so just being able to kind of like move that around and play with it is really fun. So that's kind of what I work with sometimes too.
And you'll have the plants around to just try and experiment. Yeah. And I guess if it goes somewhere and you figure something out, you can just take it from
work
there.
with it. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And I think that's another nice thing. And when we were doing like, tinctures and the capsules and stuff like that, working with like having like some type of like Reiki energy in it gives another like healing component to the plant, because it also has, I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it gives like more of like a, like some type of like chill, chill, feeling better.
Well, when plants get stressed,
they do. Yeah, sure. They do. We know. Yeah. So, yeah, I do want to work with maybe like plants and stuff, and even on Clive, sometimes I like put my little hands on his like stomach, and I'm like, come on, let's see if this helps. And he does get a little, like, he likes it. Joe had stomach issues, and I used to do Reiki for him.
Made me a believer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something to it. I think everybody has it. I don't really know like how much you need the like, training for it. I have my like 3 degrees, and like that's like the certifications in Reiki. I went through like all this training. But I think that everybody has the gift of touch, and touch is such a human thing. So
children, if they're not touched
and
handled, none of us thrive.
We all have it. Yeah. I think we all have it. And I don't think you need a degree to be able to like heal somebody or in some sort of way, like through touch, because it's such a I don't know, I think it's the most human thing, being able to kind of allow that closeness, and
it's part of our primate heritage.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's beautiful. I don't know. Yeah.
So what do you enjoy most about gardening, farming?
Okay, there's so much. I think, it definitely makes us happy. Like, it makes me happy to like kind of be able to run out in our like large amount of property with all these like different things that you get to kind of like work on, You can spend, Joe, he spends like all day, like, and he's even come inside and is like, this is what really makes me happy. Like, this is what I enjoy doing. And I think so many people get that way too with it. Like, it becomes kind of like an obsession. Yeah. Like, but no, I just love being able to kind of see something from small, and then like seeing all the little like it growing into something much more, and even being able to feed a mass amount of people with just like a small little thing that you like seeded, like, and it grows into this wonderful, abundant. That's the best part about it, I think. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
What is it? Excuse me. What does it mean to be a farmer here in the Ozarks? To be part of that tradition,
that culture. Yeah. I mean, it is a vast. Like, I've watched like with Joe. We've watched like a lot of different things on like Ozark farming and just the culture around it and community. Like, it's like pretty wild. So,
what was the Minari? Was that the movie?
Oh yeah, Minari. Have you guys seen that?
Family that moves to Arkansas, northwest Arkansas, I think, and starts a farm. It's
a beautiful movie.
I watched it twice now. I liked it.
Yeah, like I was really like I didn't really want to watch. I've been like kind of like I don't want to watch anything sad.
Yeah.
But I watched it and I was like, this is amazing, and like a lot of the things that I think you guys just need to see it. Okay. I'm not gonna give anything away. I'm just saying you gotta watch it. I think it's on Netflix right now. But you watched it in the plane, right? We went to Paris for a baby moon. Okay. So we went to Paris and he watched it in the plane, and I think I just watched Superbad or something. But, it was, it's a good movie though. The second time we watched it, and I was like, wow.
Oh, I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, Minari.
Coming back from New York and moving back here really was like, opened my eyes to what it is, what the Ozarks are, like that it's actually a distinct area, like it's like has its own culture, and and it's weird like it's Midwest, but it's like it's so different. It's I don't know, it doesn't it kind of sometimes it doesn't feel like it, like because it's so close to Arkansas anyway, or I mean, where we live, and the like all my family's accents and stuff. I know. It's like they're all Southern. Like it's
like when I first met his family, I thought they were from Texas. I'm just like, no, they're from Missouri. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, but
it's funny how people adopt. Like half of my family adopts the accent. Yeah. And the other half doesn't. Completely. Like, where is this decision?
Yeah.
Like,
where's it come from?
My oldest brother has a thick accent, but then, what? Where?
You never know.
Yeah. How do you is it part of just what you adopt as your identity, perhaps?
Yeah. I hope Clive has an accent, honestly. Like, I would be really stoked if he, had this little southern twang. I'd be like, oh, I love that.
The words my dad would use.
Oh, man. Like don't even get me started on Verl. Joe's dad, I couldn't even understand what he was saying sometimes. Like, sometimes he'd speak, and I'm like, Joe, what did he say? He wants us to get up at 5 a.m. and we're going to go. And I'd be like, oh, my gosh. He had, a whole different dialect, right?
Insane.
Where did he grow up?
In this area. It was always,
Walnut Grove, was it?
It was a dairy farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. It's a unique little patch of area. Mm-hmm. It's always people are always like, "Oh, you're from the South." I said, "No, it's the Midwest." Yeah. But it's different. It's a particular kind of person who comes from the Ozarks.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what have been some challenges that you've encountered in your farming, gardening journey?
There's been some challenges, I'd say, right?
What we take to market, kind of figuring out, and
we've had structural issues too, with the wind, destroying some of our. Oh man!
So that's why you're doing the windbreaks.
Yeah. That was rough.
Yeah.
We ran out in a storm, it was totally we're no, we're trying to hold it down, but then I'm we aren't gonna be able to do this, we can't hold this down in the wind, so we sadly went back inside, and our whole caterpillar tunnel was completely bent. Yeah, it was pretty sad.
That's so sad.
So those are some issues. Definitely with market, we've kind of had to figure out what the demographic, because every single area, Willard, they like something different. Mm-hmm. You go to Springfield, they like something different. Mm-hmm. Kansas City, they like the weirdest things, the most niche things. And then, Willard, you're pulling teeth for them to even try a portobello mushroom sometimes. You're wait, what? Come on, it's in the grocery store, but it's very difficult, And I've also noticed when you're taking things to the city, they buy the things that, spinach and, normal things. But here it's I grow that. Yeah. And you're
there's a lot.
You do, yeah. So it's you don't, you kind of have to figure out which demographic you're, providing things to.
Yeah.
That's the trick.
I hope you find some amazing eccentric restaurateur to buy your mushroom varieties and can really embrace your skills.
Is that what you're working towards?
We've been talking about that since we started, really, and we just haven't kind of reached that market.
But I think I'm ready. I think we're ready to kind of.
Yeah, I think we need the consistency. Mm-hmm. I think that's what we're kind of getting to. I think every year we're doing a little bit better on that.
Yeah.
Timing wise.
And learning, maybe not planting so many heirloom tomatoes.
Right, yeah.
So it's mostly just kind of trial and error.
Yeah.
Figuring it out.
Yeah, and then food waste is another thing. Like, if we do plant a lot, we have to think about the consumption. Like, who's going to eat it all? You know, like, if it's just us, I mean, we can't eat.
It's so sad to waste it. Too,
it is just so sad.
Yeah.
If you have overages and stuff, sometimes you might be able to come use our kitchen and process it.
Yeah.
If that's an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done that before. People, like, oh my gosh, we have 500 heads of garlic. It's not going to be good for much longer.
Got a lot of garlic.
Come dry it into powder or process it into, like, oil. And
True that.
Yeah.
That could be
we
cool.
don't like food waste. We want the hard work you've put into things to, not be wasted and to be consumed. So
that's
also
true.
one thing when you have animals.
Yeah.
It becomes more of a closed
Yes.
system because we have rabbits and chickens currently, and they eat up everything.
Yeah.
So
that's helpful.
We thought about chickens, like maybe 2 though, just for our, eggs and.
Yeah, but that's we compost and stuff, but yeah, it would be really nice to.
Yeah. You don't want to grow stuff for your compost.
No.
Right.
Well, I get it.
And we were always just giving stuff away.
Which is great,
it's fine. Like I mean, if you need it, like that's my other thing.
Yeah.
I would like to figure out some type of way we can kind of give back. Mm-hmm. We have extras. Do you want it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, will you eat it? Will you use it? Like, that's another thing that we kind of need to think about. Like, there's a place in Willard. It's called The Hive. I don't know if you've heard of it, but she employs all people with, like, disabilities. Okay. And, like, it's really beautiful. And she's such... I don't know, something about... Like, I don't even know her name, but, like, when I go in, she's such a kind human. And you can just see it. Like, she oozes it. That we've talked about just, like, going there and being like, here, like... have some of our produce, like you use it, like
Absolutely.
So we thought that could be kind of like a nice way to give back to the community, which we need to like think more about too, like how to how we can provide to the community versus like take or like here I want this money, here like we're doing this and we want to help as much as we can, so that's something we've been talking about a lot. But yeah, The Hive, if you should try it. She's such a,
nice.
like very compassionate. I can see it, and I appreciate that, especially for Willard. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Like, kind of like, employing people that, she even says, like, there's little signs that are like, be kind. These, they're learning, and, so are we. And I'm like, oh, yes, like, exactly. Like,
is this a restaurant? Or
it is just right in Willard. I forget where it's off of.
Just a main strip of...
You can probably Google it, The
Hive.
Hive.
It's not super big. So.
No, right. Right across the street from Apple Market. You know what I mean? Maybe.
Is it on Jackson?
I think it might even be in Jackson. Like right across the street from like Frisco Highline, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which is also a very Ozarks thing for you to just describe places based off of like, that big old oak tree next to the Applebee's.
Joe's dad, we went to a rodeo once, which I'd never been to rodeos before. I'd been to like a crud ton of powwows, never been to a rodeo. But Joe's dad was like, you can follow those lines on the road and you're getting... I'm like, what? I'm like, I need to know where to go. I am lost. And like, he's like, the lines are out there. You can turn that way. And I'm like, Joe, we are lost. I was like crying. I was so scared. And like,
then we asked someone else.
They did the same thing. The lines. And I'm like, what lines? Like, I was so frustrated. And Joe's like, Cheyenne, like, you just have to, like, it's okay. Like, it's like, this is just, it's easy. And I'm like, no, it isn't. I'm like, I don't tell time by the stars. I'm like, I'm trying to learn here. But it is so cool. Like, Joe's dad was very that. Like, and then my mom loved Joe's dad. Like, she was like, he is so cool. Like talking to him, she's like, he's rodeo, we're powwow. This is awesome. And I'm like, yeah, like, I'm like, true. And that he was the same way. He was like, wait. He's like, you're a Native American? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, put her on a horse. And I'm like, oh no, I've never ridden a horse before. And he's like, yeah, you can break them. He's like, you're Native American, right? You can break a horse. I'm like, no, I cannot. So I was like so scared.
We had a lot of friends that were indigenous and would ride horses for him, and we'd go to powwows all the time.
Yeah, you said that, and I was shocked when you told me that. I was like, oh, really? And you're like, yeah.
And he'd go to New Mexico all the time, and so it was just...
So him and my mom had a lot to like talk about. It was really funny, like seeing the two of them like
surprise.
Banter back and forth, and him like really excited, like tell me really more, sweet. Like, and she's like, okay, like yeah. So it was a cool like little moment, but
that's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, brag on yourself a little. So, what was your biggest success that you've had?
Well, I think.
What are you proud of? What are you most proud of?
I'm really proud of that geothermal greenhouse. I'm really proud of Joseph for being able to pull it together. And I mean, dude, like while I was pregnant, like he was doing it all by himself. So I'm really proud of that aspect and that portion because we waited a long time and it's finally kind of coming into fruition. And I'm really proud of it.
That's super exciting.
Let me think. There's a lot. I think I am just proud to be back too, like proud to be able to again give back if we can and when we start growing more. So I don't know.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
What's been the most surprising thing since you've taken up farming?
The groundhog. Just kidding.
No. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like the constant, just not problems, but like little hurdles all the time.
Yeah,
every day.
Like even today, our power went out for like a hot second, and I was like, oh, the water will work. We're well, and I turned it on. I'm like, the water's not working. And I'm like freaking out because we have a lot of things to water, and even our grow lights, like we were kind of having like a moment where we were like, what happened? There was just a power outage in our area, but.
And then you need electricity for the pump of the well?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I was like...
That's a new kind of worry, but... Yeah. And for me, storms, when we first got back, I forgot what they were like. Like, grew up with them and stuff, but I didn't...
You have more trauma with it, though, than I do.
My school was blown away by a tornado, or damaged by a tornado.
The roof was taken off, and lockers fell on students. Yeah. That's pretty scary.
Wow. While the students were at the school?
Yeah, we were all there. It was in the morning.
Wow.
See, I grew up in Kansas City, so we would get the tornado sirens, but my mom would be like,
yeah, it's not.
Like, it's just a test. And I'd be like, really? She's like, yeah. No, she's like, you can look at the sky. She's like, but I don't think anything's going to happen. And I'd be like, okay.
But yeah, the intensity, like being out in the open and going from an apartment in the city where it's like everything's dampened and you just hear people and sirens and stuff. So like
you wake up at 6 a.m. to like Jamaican music.
Yeah.
Like that was the.
It's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
What do you wish you had known when you started out? When you first made that switch to come back here from New York?
Well, I think maybe not growing so many varieties so quickly. Maybe honing in on a few different things and getting more, like understanding it a little bit more, like how many we need to grow each year. Like I think we started out so gung-ho that we're like, let's do 20 different varieties of this, or and like just a lot. We had like a lot, and that was another thing where the food waste came into play. Is like we had so many different varieties, or some of them would just die, some of them wouldn't grow. We had wasted just time, trying to understand time and time management, how much we are selling. Like that's another thing is like that when we did the tour, like learning, like there was like a sheet like of like all the different things that you would go through and like kind of like how much is grown and how much is sold, and just like it was a nice like little way of like looking. And then they even had it from like years prior, right? Like I liked that, like being able to kind of like look back and see how many you grew and what worked out and what didn't. And so we're probably going to do that type of
more
organization.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. But yeah, so.
Can I just say that
everybody says
everyone's best advice or wishing to go back on something is like, I wish I would have started smaller. Yes. Yeah. But then you're gung-ho, you're excited. Yeah, you're like, let's see what sticks.
And I think that's a good thing too, maybe, like, being excited, because maybe it keeps the wheels on, like, you're, like, really excited and ready to go. And I don't know, though, some people get really defeated with failure, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm proud that we've stayed...
I am, yeah. Like, it's like, oh, man, let's do it again. Like, let's try it again. Trial and error. I think that's good. So I am happy that we haven't gotten defeated. Yeah. There are times where we're like, man, but then we're like, all right, let's do it this way next year. You know, like, we can't do it now, but we can try next year, you know.
It's a great attitude for Clive to absorb.
Yeah. Oh, I hope. I know Joe's like, I'm really hoping that he likes to, like, plant, and I know I think any environment that you're in when you're younger, like, you're, like, excited about, you know, like, you want to do it. Yeah, if you're welcomed in, yeah.
What advice would you give to people who want to follow in your footsteps and
start small? I'm just kidding.
Start small. Yeah.
Don't go crazy. Yeah, don't get defeated. I also think I think education is really important, and I do think that there are a lot of different resources for education that you can get, like, just through different classes. Like, you don't have to have a degree in it. But I do think you should educate yourself for sure. Listen to others, learn from others, because if you think you have all the answers, you might not. Like, you know what I mean? So, education has always been, like, super huge for us, even with, like, agriculture, like, there is a vast amount of information. Mm-hmm. So, we are trying to kind of, like, absorb it and be sponges and take as many classes. Like, we don't have our degree in it. So we don't really, there are times where it's kind of like, man, I wish we would have. But we're doing what we can with, the resources that are given. And there are a lot of resources in Missouri that give you the opportunity to learn through, like, classes and professors that are teaching people that just want to learn, So I think that's really cool. Yeah.
There are a surprising amount of resources out there. You could watch... You can get a whole education just watching YouTube.
And PBS. I love PBS. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. So I remember sitting in New York watching, like, the little PBS, like, things, kind of dorky, and people were like, PBS. I'm like, yeah, but, like, come on, it's free, and it's cool. Like, it's like, there are people that are, like, really cool on there, like, so, PBS is where it's at.
I'm learning beekeeping right now.
Oh, cool.
And there's a super great group here in town that give you just knowledge for free if you're interested in that.
Mita's mom does that, right? Yeah. She's horticulture. Okay. Yeah. She goes to, where did she go? Mita was telling us. Mita's our sister-in-law, but her mom went somewhere in Springfield to remove a beehive.
Yes. Yeah, she does that.
Yeah. Kind of preserve it and make sure it's...
Neat.
We have a beekeeping workshop tomorrow night. Convoy of Hope, if anyone would like to come along. Mm-hmm. Zoom, and it's virtual or in person.
Oh, okay. So, well, that makes it
options. Yeah, maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
Well, what would you like the general public to know about diverse gardeners, farmers? Have you had a good experience here being a non-white Ozarkian farmer?
I definitely am white passing, so I think it's a lot, easy to, like, if anything, it's hard for me, like, not, like, my dad's white, but, so it's easier for me to move through the world than it is my mom, she's brown, so it's easier for me than I think it would be others, so it's hard for me to speak on that, because I do have a lot of privilege in that aspect, just being white passing and, not really having as many issues maybe as, like, my mother.
Right.
But I don't know. So that's hard for me to give advice on that, you know. But I think, all the people that are in, like, POC or, people doing their thing, farming, I think they maybe not get so maybe defeated. I know that's a word, but I know that can be hard, Yeah. But honestly, like, whenever you tell, my mom loves it here. Mm-hmm. and she's never had any issues like ever here. If anything, great. I've seen more horrible things when I was little to my mom when I was in Kansas City, and my mom just being like, don't say anything. You know, like we always kind of keeping our heads down, and my mom getting a lot of really bad stuff, you know. So I've definitely seen it with my mom. We've learned how to be more advocates for my mom, like using our privilege to maybe like be like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like kind of like,
hey, what do you mean mean by that?
Right. Yeah, that's a lot of it. A lot of the time, like, you know, like people just like being kind of ignorant and calling her different things and not really knowing. I think that's a lot of it. Ignorance is sad, but so yeah, I got my privilege. I don't really I can't really speak on you know all that too much because I know it's a lot harder for others. But yeah, so.
Well, Anna, do you have any other questions? I think I've gone through all of mine.
No, I think it's so cool that, I mean, despite some challenges and everything, you guys, like, have had so much success, and it just, I don't know, I find a lot of inspiration when I get to talk to you guys, because
cool.
It's like, you know, whenever you're going down the right path and things are working out for you, and I just was so impressed by your operation so far,
Thank
even
you.
though you've only been there a few years. It's like you are way more established and have it's just seemed to come easy to you. And I know it hasn't been easy.
Joseph's he's the student. He studies way hard about things and kind of can teach it to me, and so I'm appreciative of that, you know, learning. You know, I think we learn from each other, which is really nice. Like, it's a good balance, you know.
It seems like it.
And we love working together. We've always found ways to work together, you know what I mean? Like, even in college, we were like, well, let's work together. Like, we kind of, like, figured out ways. Because it's almost easier if we're always with each other. So it's like, if we can cultivate this life and farm, you know, that's going to be awesome for sure.
That's kind of the goal, is to be able to make that our sole livelihood.
Yeah, our reality, like
that's what we want.
And I mean, even if, like, we always say, like, we're not going to get rich. Maybe we will, but we're not going to, you know, like, but we can be happy, you know, and I love, like, that's what matters, is being just happy. Yeah, and I think that's what, you know, this kind of lifestyle provides, is, like, you're not working with a lot of people sometimes. You kind of get to, you know, hone in on your own little craft and come back at the end of the day. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, no, I'm glad that you guys are happy and that you made it back here. And I'm excited for your hedgerows and everything.
And thank you for believing us. And, you know, you guys have been so, like, everyone has been so, and we're always, like, really, like, because sometimes we don't see it. Like, you know, it's hard to see what's in front of you, but I know we're, like, super happy. But when other people are like, oh, wow, you do have quite a bit established, we're like, oh, really? Like, we're like, oh, we can always do better.
You really do.
Okay, that's cool.
You've got structures, you've got the trees that you've already planted, and just the space is laid out very well. And you've gotten so plugged in with the resources.
Yeah, that's another thing, is that we're really, like, and I know, like, I keep emphasizing, but, like, community, like, I'm really, like, we've only been back, like, now I would say it's been 4 years, so we've only been back 4 years, and I'm like, we really have to, like, understand the community and, like, get involved, and, you know, like, you know, even through, like, Springfield Community Gardens is, like, volunteering and, like, meeting people and, like, you know, making connections and learning from others, and it's nice. It's like, you know, it's important, I think, anywhere you are, learning and networking and, you know, being around people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to stop on that.